Well, the ANC in the Eastern Cape hopes that the weekend won't see a repeat of the violence that played out at its 2017 Provincial Elective Conference. The Provincial Task Team Convener, Mabuyane, says there will be no festival of chairs at the 2022 Elective Conference. Security measures have been beefed up at the International Convention Centre in East London to deal with any unruly behaviour. Now, let's get an update on that conference. We now cross to our reporter, Abongile Jantjies. Abongile, thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's get the very latest from you. Talk to us about this urgent court application to stop conference proceedings from going ahead. Who exactly instituted this court process, and what does this mean for the conference?
Well, Nati, that application has a detrimental effect on the conference that is sitting here today, and it's people from the Dr. W.B. Khubusana region. You remember that region didn't hold its conference and it had to be interdicted because of some branch meetings that didn't go well. So these people are of the view that some participants from various branches here at this conference were not supposed to go there. They are waiting for a court judgment which will be handed at 5 o'clock for them to recuse themselves because they are there illegally, because they are saying branch meetings that took place from March up until April and close to May, they are not supposed to be there because they believe that a judgment of the court, which will be handed down on the 31st of May, will nullify them, and that will have an effect of the conference. You remember, these are voting delegates. They might sway their votes to any of the factions that are participating there, whether it be Mlibo Koboshiane, whether it be Oscar Mabuyane, whether it be Babalo Matikizela. So it would have that effect, and now they are saying that before the conference is interdicted, after its outcomes, they're saying no, those people must just recuse themselves, and we're waiting for 5 o'clock when the East London High Court will be handing down that judgment. But I do have the applicant of this to tell us more, Ondela Sokomani from the Youth League of the Dr. W.B. Khubusana, who lodged this urgent application. A very good day to you, sir. Thanks for joining us on this busy day. You've taken this action to ask for the court, for those members, for those branches to recuse themselves. Elaborate more.
Yes, good afternoon to you and your viewers. We've lodged an application because we believe that permitting the branches of Khubusana, which set their BBGMs during February and March, permitting them in conference today will contaminate the credentials of conference and will bring into question the credibility of the outcomes of conference. Considering that there's an existing interim order which will be finalized on the 31st of May, Part B of which seeks to nullify the branches of Khubusana that set between February and March. So we're of the view that rather than subjecting the interpretation of court, of the existing court order, to politicking and rhetoric, we'd rather have court enforce it and give clarity in as far as the participation of Khubusana is concerned. So we are trying to protect whatever becomes a product of this particular conference. However, conference must proceed. We are just removing the rot and the contaminated branches of Khubusana, which stand to be nullified by court on the 31st of May.
You say this is the majority of the Khubusana region. How many branches are we talking about here?
They are in an excess of 30. Unfortunately, I don't have the specifics with me right now because I wouldn't know when branches set in Ruren and so forth. However, they are in an excess of 30 branches in Khubusana, which ought to not participate in this particular conference, considering that they run the risk of being nullified. The other reality is that we are concerned by the excitement of some of the people of Khubusana who are alleged to be leading the region. We saw last night, and we later discovered that they managed to maneuver their way into registering these branches, knowing very well that goes against the current interim order. So that's why we sought to get remedial action from court rather than subjecting it to dispute resolution committees, because the PTT is subjective, and the PTT has direct interest in what becomes the outcome of this process. So we do not want to exhaust ourselves and delay ourselves, but we sought to get a fair and a neutral opinion and decision from court.
Okay, coming to these issues that remind our viewers why were these branches nullified, and how did we come to this position that they can't participate now? And now that they have participated, who is to be blamed within your own structure, which is the Khubusana region?
All right, the blame must be squarely put on the office of the regional coordinator of Dr. W.B. Khubusana, because it is that office that engineered and presided over the attempted heist of branches in Khubusana. We are here because branch general meetings in Khubusana did not take place in line with the guidelines and the constitutional prescripts of the ANC. You had branches where people's IDs and ID numbers appeared on scanned reports purporting them to have been present in meetings when they were not. You have people who are deceased in a number of branches appearing on scanned reports to have participated in PGMs. You have people who are incarcerated and some who are in hospital, others are in other provinces. So you have that degeneration and rot and an abortion rather of the ANC's constitutional prescripts and the existing guidelines for PPGMs. So the office of the regional coordinator presided over the heist. It was at the forefront of the heist. It continues to be at the forefront of trying to mischievously plunge this particular conference into crisis, knowing very well that we still have a date in court on the 31st of May, which might lead to the nullification of the branches, which some delegates here are representing this particular conference. So we want to save conference from the mischief of people who continue to exist and enjoy mischievous means of leading the ANC.
So one of the things when we previously spoke about issues pertaining to conferences and you being a lobbyist for Babalo Matikizela, so these people, these 30 branches, if you say so, would you say are the ones who are supporting Oscar Mabuyane?
Well, the heist in Khubusana is engineered primarily to favor Mabuyane. That is why you have a Ward 5 in Dr. W.B. Khubusana, where you have an RTT member who is the councillor as well, and there's a voice note where she boldly claims that the branch will never receive a QR code to be able to sit its meeting. So such frustrations, the running where you have RTT members running with packages, where you have branch leaders being assaulted and intimidated with bouncers and thugs. So the whole chaos of Khubusana was engineered fundamentally to favor Oscar Mabuyane. And so we are saying we can't allow our lives to be presided over by our inferiors through dubious means. So indeed, the heist and the Takarish elements of stealing branch general meetings in Khubusana were engineered to favor Mabuyane. You have a Ward 47, which is the area where we are in this conference, which is Quigney area and the CBD, where you have a scanner, a person who's alleged to have been a scanner, who is deceased. So how do you have a person who is an ancestor, who is dead, scanning people who are alive in a meeting when they don't exist? So that is the extent and the depth to which Khubusana has gotten rotten to the core. And we are standing to say that can never happen, not in our lifetime. We will not allow it to happen, where you have people, because they can't sustain their lives outside leading the ANC, they are willing to go to any extent to steal and undermine the principles and the constitutional prescripts of the ANC.
I thank you so much for your time. We shall engage when the judgment is out, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, Onati, that was Ondela Sokomani, one of the people from the Khubusana region here, which is based here in East London, where we are at now, saying that no, things are not supposed to be like this, and these 30 branches must recuse themselves, and we shall wait for that at 5 o'clock when the judgment gets handed down by the East London High Court.
Abongile, thanks for that. Very quickly, ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe said some very strong words this afternoon. Just key highlights on what he said this afternoon, a few moments ago, actually.
Well, Well, Gwede Mantashe spoke about the issue of factionalism within the party, within conferences, and he said that he strongly spoke against the factionalism, saying that no one is above the ANC, no faction is above the ANC. When they preach unity, it comes to conferences that they should come out of a conference, even though the stakes are high, even though contestation is allowed, but factions must be outrooted, and that the proper leadership, the capable leaders, must be the ones who emerge as victorious to lead those people who are meant to be led by the province. And part of the other things he said is that the Eastern Cape, which is the third biggest province when it comes to the ANC, must set an example going to the conference of the National Conference, that when it comes to policies they must be heard, and that they must not be going there with a divided province. If a divided province goes there, then it means even regions would be divided, going straight to branches, which seemingly in the Khubusana region they are divided on who should have participated here. Well, Oscar Mabuyane is expected to table his policy report, and we shall bring you political reports, and we shall bring you more on that on RT.
Fantastic. Just one last question before I let you go. So I would imagine that the conference then continues today, even though we've got this court application that's going to be heard later this afternoon.
Yes, we are not even sure whether the delegates there and sitting there are allowed. We'll have to see where the court rules, and how it will be enforced. And we doubt that everyone who's inside the hall there at the ICC is aware that there is a court. We are waiting for a court judgment, and that might delay processes. You'd recall that the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to close this conference tomorrow, as Gwede Mantashe opened it today. It remains to be seen everything, Onati.
Right, Abongile, thank you so much. Let's leave it here for now. We'll definitely be crossing to you a little bit later on. Abongile Jantjies coming to us live there from East London. Of course, we are talking about this urgent court application with regards to the credentials of the Eastern Cape's ANC Elective Conference to be heard in the High Court later today, and that was brought by the applicants, the Dr. W.B. Khubusane region. But